When I moved here a few years ago, I was not expecting the pandemic to change the housing market as much as it has, or to see as many people move here. Needless to say, a lot has changed since I made my first video about living in Houston, and today I'm going to update you and inform you on everything you may want to know before relocating here. Hey everyone, I am Danielle. I am a realtor in the Houston area, and I help you either find or build your dream home before relocating here. I went back and watched my original video about living in Houston, and not only is it really embarrassing to see one of the very first videos I ever created, but a lot has changed since then. Now that I've lived more seasons through Houston and have helped many more families relocate here from other states and even other countries, I have a much better perspective on what it is you guys are looking for before moving here, and I want to set realistic expectations not only about things that are unique to Houston like weather, but also the housing market. Another interesting thing is back then I helped a lot of families relocate here that really wanted to live in Houston. Now there's a lot of families relocating to Houston because of necessity, job relocation, and housing affordability, especially in comparison to some of our other Texas metros. We're a very affordable option for many. Now, some things are still the same. We still have beautiful, tolerable weather for a majority of the year. However, we do have very grossly hot and humid summers. We do still have more parks, green spaces, walking and biking trails than many other Texas cities, and Houston has the beautiful coast and beaches, and it is surrounded by many state parks, which is really nice. Our cost of living is still lower compared to many other states in the country and even other cities within Texas. However, with so many people flocking to Texas and Houston the last couple of years, our affordability is not like what it used to be. In 2019, the average cost of a home in Houston was about $294,000. Fast forward to 2022, as of last month, the average cost of a home in Houston is about $410,000. Back in 2019, we had about 4 months worth of inventory on the market, and right now we have about a month and a half's worth of inventory on the market. So here in Houston, although it is still affordable, it is competitive, and there are a lot of people moving here. Not only that, our home taxes haven't gone up too much, but our property value has gone up quite significantly, which has increased property tax value, especially if you've bought in the last few years. I'm still finding though that buyers are okay with this increased cost because it is still cheaper than their home state or other cities that they are moving from, and we also have no state income tax here, which helps. A lot of people moving here just don't care about the cost. However, a lot of locals here are having a hard time wrapping their head around the market and even being able to sell and move into a bigger house. When I ask my out-of-staters what it's like to live in Houston, something that comes up quite often is just how massive this city actually is. It's not until you live here and you have to drive from one area to the other that you realize just how long it actually takes to get there. Generally, once you find an area of Houston to live in, everything you need is within that area, and you don't venture out too far unless you're going to somewhere very specific. Of course, we are a big city with big city traffic, and we definitely have our fair share of traffic. However, I have been hearing from out-of-state buyers that our traffic is not nearly as bad as some states like California and Florida. And it doesn't take long to realize after living here that when you are driving on the Houston freeways, if you are in the far left lanes, you should be going a minimum of 80 miles per hour. And if you do not want to drive 80 miles per hour or more, then you should be in the far right lanes. And the speed limit, especially on the freeways, is just a suggestion. The biggest concern I've heard from out-of-staters is the concern about flooding, and it is definitely a concern to have. We are a city prone to major flooding, and the risk is associated with many of our neighborhoods and homes. We are a flat terrain made of clay soil, and we sit very close to sea level. We also have a lot of infrastructure and concrete that changes the terrain all the time, and there is also a theory that Houston is sinking, which makes it all the more probable of future flooding. However, Houston actively has billions of dollars in flood mitigation programs that are active today, especially since Harvey. Also, Houston has seen a large amount of new construction and development, and typically these builders are building several feet above sea level, and they have updated codes and plans to help reduce the risk of flooding. They also have engineers now that are constantly updating our retention ponds and storm drain sewage systems to help with the flooding risk in residential neighborhoods. So although the risk is everywhere, it may be slightly less with new construction. Houston has had its fair share of crazy storms, hurricanes, and tornadoes, but the last few years we've had a few odd, wacky storms that don't happen very often, one of them being the freeze from last spring that left many in Houston, actually all of Texas, without power for a few days. Since then, things have been fixed so that hopefully this doesn't happen again in the future, but these things do happen occasionally here in Texas. We have been lucky to have been missed by some major hurricanes that have hit in the last few years, but living in a city that does and can potentially be impacted by a hurricane, you should always be prepared. And for those of you moving here, hurricane season is from June to November. But with these storms come breathtaking sunsets and cooler air afterwards. And the bugs. First of all, mosquitoes are a thing here. We do have bayous and waterways and very humid weather, so basically we are a mosquito's favorite place to be. I have noticed in many of the neighborhoods the city does spray, and when they do, I hardly notice them even when you're going on walks near grass and water. However, if the city doesn't spray or you go walking through the woods or near water, there are definitely mosquitoes, and I know mosquitoes bug some people more than others, and I am the person they bug, so maybe I get a bit more than the average person here. I don't know. We also have gators, not like Florida or Louisiana, but occasionally you will see some gators hanging out by the bayou or in some of the retention ponds in the residential neighborhoods. You don't see them all that often, you don't have to worry, but yes, they are here. We also do have snakes in the water and on the land here. Since living here, I've only seen one snake, and it was not near my house. Otherwise, I may not live in Houston anymore. But overall, we do have quite a fair share and variety of snakes here in Houston. We also have turtles, frogs, squirrels, bats, raccoons, nutrias, foxes, coyotes, skunks, and boars. Of course, the chances of seeing all these while you're living here, it's not going to be a daily occurrence, but these animals do live here. A humid climate also comes with the creepy crawlers. We have ants, fleas, flies, and an impressive amount of different spiders, especially in the wooded areas. But we also have some super cool birds here, and the spring and summer here with all the wildflowers and the green trees blooming, it makes for a very beautiful place to live. Again, many out-of-staters are impressed with how much green space we have and how much nature is actually here in Houston with all the parks. And although our Gulf Coast isn't the perfect blue water, we do have so many state parks down there and lots of recreation for people to enjoy here in the Houston area. A big reason why I moved here and why I'm finding a lot of other people are moving here, especially out to the suburbs, is that it is a great balance for families. There are a lot of opportunity for professional careers here, as well as highly rated school districts, new construction homes, and more master planned communities and resort style amenities than any other city in Texas. It is also nice to live in a city with so much to do close by. Houston is the new culinary capital of the world. We also have the largest Texas shopping mall, the biggest rodeo and livestock show in the world, and we are just a short trip away from many Texas amusement parks and things to do. I hope this video gave you a little bit more insight about what it's like to live in Houston. If you are thinking of moving and would like assistance, feel free to message me. I would love to help you out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.